Welcome to Vlogmas 2020, where I am vlogging every day in December leading up to Christmas. I hope you enjoyed that footage of the boys. That was them today just before I fed them alfalfa, when they were all attentive and waiting patiently, most of them, for the alfalfa. We had some hummers there. When they're wanting something, they hum and let themselves be known. I hope you're able to hear the hums. Some of you may not have heard the noise that alpacas make. We do call it a hum. It's kind of like a hmm. They all have like their own tone to it and their own intonations about it. And you can tell when they're just talking to one another, when they're complaining, when like it's part of their communication. It's pretty cute. And one of the guys, their star, he was that silver gray with the white face. He's my complainer. Oh my gosh, he's my complainer, and he gets the other guys going. So like he hums and so they hum, and I'm like, yeah, I hear you. I hear you, Star. I hear you. Um, but yeah, their bellies are full now. Today's video, I'm going to show you some footage that I shot earlier this year. I had been shooting footage at various times in the year intending to bring you videos, and it didn't happen. I'm sorry. I apologize to those of you who were looking forward to videos and I didn't put them out. But I did shoot footage. And some of that footage I'm going to show you today because there's a secret that I have been keeping, and I'm going to kind of explain the background of it and what the future plans are for this secret. Okay, you ready for the surprise? This is something that has been in my sights for quite some time. I have been researching and planning this for a number of years. I've been watching other people on YouTube with this, watching their lifestyle, watching the things that they do, and really admiring that and wanting to do it myself. And I had some ideas about how to incorporate it into my alpaca business, but I wasn't quite sure when it was going to happen. Let me show you. Look at it! It is so cute! Okay, this is a 1987 Winnebago campsite. It's 20 feet long and the perfect size for me. So I'm going to take you inside and we're going to have a little chat. As you can see, I am now inside the motorhome, and I cannot tell you how excited I am. The longer I have this, the more the reality sinks in that something I have dreamed about for years is coming true. And I hope that you can relate to that type of experience. I hope all of you have had that type of realization about something in your life, something that you really desired, come true. So a number of years ago, I started watching people on YouTube who lived in an RV full time. And travel has always been one of those things that I'm really interested in, but I've honestly never had the money to really enjoy it. And a number of my jobs were not really things that I took regular vacations for. So I'm not even like a regular vacation kind of person. But then I discovered alpacas, and that became like my unusual thing to do. Like, instead of traveling to be the unusual thing to do rather than a 9-to-5 regular kind of job, raising alpacas was my thing, and I loved it. When I ran across full-time RVing on YouTube, it really appealed to me. I just didn't know how I was going to do it. Moving, I wanted to move to Nebraska before I even discovered alpacas, but I didn't know how I was going to move and what kind of job I was going to have. When I discovered alpacas, I was like, this is it. This is like my key to moving out into the country, because I grew up in the city and that I was very interested in living out in rural areas. I love nature. I love being around nature. So I'm one of those people that I can live in the city, I can live in the nature, or in the country. I prefer the environment of the country. So how does this connect to my alpaca business? So I've been pondering that over these few years that I've been watching full-time RVers, wondering how I can do that. How can I travel and have alpacas at the same time? Because raising alpacas, it's a full-time job. Like, you don't take vacations. It's difficult to find people to care for your animals, especially the way that you care for your animals, but even those that understand what it looks like when they look sick or something like that. It's very challenging. And then me being a single person, I'm not married, I don't have kids, I was doing it completely on my own. Like, I never took vacations, I never went anywhere. It was difficult to even leave for holidays to see family. I did it when I could, but I didn't do it every year. I couldn't do it all the time. So I was like, well, how do I get this travel thing to work? Okay, well, if I took out the piece of having someone to care for my animals, what could I do when I travel, right? So I had this YouTube channel. Obviously, here we are. I have this YouTube channel, and I would love to visit other alpaca farms. I would love to show you how other alpaca farms function. I'm just one, and I do my own thing. Mine is just one story of so many inspiring stories, and I want to bring those stories to you. Now, my channel, that's a different discussion. I'm gonna stay focused. So this motorhome is going to allow me to travel, not only to show you other alpaca farms, but allows me to go to events. Like, I don't go to shows. It's very difficult for me to get to any kind of trainings unless it's within a day's drive. And being in Nebraska, that doesn't happen very often. So I was kind of, this gives me many more options of which I can take classes. I don't know if anyone ever wants me to teach classes, but I could go and learn myself. And along the way, I can visit alpaca farms somewhere. And as I'm able to take longer and longer trips, I'll be able to go to more places. So if you're interested in me visiting your alpaca farm and being featured on my YouTube channel, comment down below and let me know, because in the near future, I don't know when the traveling is going to start, but I do want to be prepared as to possible places I could go. Now, this is a 1987 Winnebago campsite. It's a 20-foot motorhome, and it is in its original condition. I inherited this, basically. So I'm the fourth owner. It has been very well taken care of. There's only a few things to address on here, and then I'm going to renovate it. So there's not that much work to do, relatively speaking, for a motorhome or an RV this age. There's not a lot to do, which I'm extremely grateful for. So let me tell you how this came about. Okay, so my grandmother, this is my mother's mother, loves my alpacas. She was a super fan of what I did. If you're curious about her, let's see, I interviewed her on one of my podcast episodes on the Butterfield Alpaca Ranch YouTube channel. So I will link that video down in the description box, and I should have the ability to put it up here as well if you'd like to go meet her. But she was so thrilled with what I was doing. She loves animals. She loved the alpacas. In fact, she came out for shearing one year and had the experience that no one ever wants to have. Let me show you.
You give her to him. Mm-hmm. There you go.
Aw. Oh, come on, baby. Come on, baby.
Can I see it for a half a second?
Yeah. Oh, you're such a sweetheart.
Can you hold a minute, Mom?
No, Okay.
Hold a second. He wants to.
Oh, there we go.
He wants to trim her little tuck.
Oh, you could have the little tuck there. Okay, now do it. You good now? Oh, now they're all going to pick on her.
Now, could you guys take her halter off?
Okay, is she good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Take the halter off.
Hi, sweetheart.
Woo!
Not again. Not again.
As you could probably tell from that video, my grandmother was a very special lady. She loved life, full of adventure. When my grandfather died, her plan then was to travel around and visit her 10 kids, her grandkids, her great-grandkids, and her great-great-grandkids. I think she might have been a great-great-great, like 3 greats grandma. Definitely 2, possibly 3. I'd have to think through that. But all to say, she had a lot of family that she could visit, and that's what she wanted to do. With that in mind, she bought this motorhome. This would have been 4 years ago. Well, she discovered she wasn't a fan of traveling this way. So my aunt, who cared for her quite a bit in her final years, ended up using it full time. She traveled quite a bit in it as well. So last year my grandmother died, and my aunt continued to travel. Well, this year she decided that this was no longer something she should be doing for health reasons. She should no longer be traveling by herself with some of the health concerns that she currently has. I'm not sure when this conversation happened, but she said she had talked to my grandmother about me using this motorhome, and at the time the idea was using it as a mobile store, because I do have one of those as well, or at least that was the intention. Well, I have another camper that's sitting right out here that's being transformed into a mobile store to sell all of my alpaca products. But my grandmother was thrilled at the idea that this would be used, that I could use this for my alpaca business. So when it came time for my aunt to part with it, she chose to give it to me. So I'm super excited. Neither of them knew that part of the dream for my life is to be able to travel, and that I'd been looking at RV living for years now. Years and years I've watched YouTube videos about RV living. So very familiar with it and very excited to actually be able to experience it myself. I do not plan on doing this full time. I plan on just doing it as I can because I have the alpacas. I have no idea what the future holds, but I want to do both. So when I'm home in Nebraska, it will be caring for the alpacas and working with the fiber and that type of thing. When I'm able to hit the road, it's going to be traveling to different alpaca events. I'll be visiting different alpaca farms. But I also want to experience the beauty of America, at least in the beginning, and until I don't have that livestock anymore. I'm not going to go like too far for too long. So within the Americas, I'm right in the middle of the United States. So I'll be traveling America, and hiking is one of my new hobbies. So I'm excited to hike various places around the country and see the beauty that exists right here at home. Let's get right to the tour, because in the videos, this is often my most favorite part. Let's talk about it. Let's give you the tour. All right, here she is. Now, something I did not tell you is that my grandmother's name is Ida, and I've decided to name my motorhome Ida. And by the way, this is my cat Eddie walking up here. Hello, bud. Okay, so Ida, I mentioned before, is a 1987 Winnebago campsite. I could not find very much information online about this motorhome at all. Maybe partly because of the age, would now be considered vintage, but also there just must not be very many of them around anymore. Also shows, due to how well the previous owners treated her, that she still exists. She runs really well. My aunt did a lot of things to maintain her. She did what she knew to do to take care of the motorhome and keep her running well. So let me give you a tour of the outside. And let me show you here. Those 2 cushions there are mine, but this is the original upholstery and dashboard. I don't plan on doing too much up here. Actually, mostly for security reasons. You know, if I have a curtain across the back of the seats that, you know, people can't see in the back and then I've renovated it, they look in here and they're like, oh, this is just an old motorhome. You know, so for security purposes, I think I'm just going to leave it. Things are in really good condition, and I just don't have a desire to change much of it at all. So now the reason the cushions are there is because the seat, well, it doesn't go up, doesn't go high enough for me. And at first I thought it didn't go forward enough. It does go forward, and it does latch in the forward position. So I don't need the one behind me anymore, but I do need the one underneath of me. Those two cushions actually did the trick just right. Just the right amount of support in the back and below to get me where I needed to be to drive comfortably. The steering column does not adjust. It is stationary. So I had to adjust myself rather than the steering wheel. All right, so that is that part. Down here is the propane tank. The house battery, one of the early, as soon as I can, I'm going to upgrade the electric. So this is one house battery down in there, and I believe it's from 2014. It is now 2020, so I've yet to have it truly tested to see how much it will hold and how well it does. And I haven't used the motorhome well enough to know how well the battery really functions at the moment. I do anticipate having to replace it. So it's just one of those things. But in updating the electric system, what I really mean is to install solar to create a battery bank and solar powers on the roof so I can go anywhere and not have to worry about electric, and a lot better situation than what it is now. Okay, that's pretty much it for this side. There's not a whole lot to it. It's very simple. I have new tires on the back. This is a storage compartment. It currently has stabilizers and electric, what do they call it? Adapters. Because right in here, this is the electric to plug in. And then this is the fuel tank. And then here we have the water. We have where you plug in. I guess they put in the hose here to stay connected to water, and this is where you would fill your freshwater tank. And then this is the hot water tank and the back of the fridge. Underneath here is where you'd empty the black tank. Now this motorhome has a combined gray and black water tank. So I just have the black water tank and a freshwater tank, and at this point, I do believe either of them are very big. So those are some adjustments I'm going to need to make. So let's walk back around here. Everything looks great. I am missing W and the I from the Winnebago on the front, but that's okay. I'm just going to remove all of these, and at some point I'm going to repaint the outside. Okay, let's go on in. We have a stair here that comes out pretty well. The carpet is in good condition. Actually, a lot of this is in good condition. Close the door behind me. Okay, so starting over here in the corner, we do have a wardrobe that goes all the way to the bottom. My aunt left me a lot of goodies. So that's a broom and a vacuum. We have storage up here. See, she left me a few things. All these work really well. So we have two of those in the back. Over here, this is above the kitchen. Again, storage space. This is the couch, and it's a jackknife sofa. So what happens is this cushion here you take out, and then this part, you can see a leg right there, would pull out to here, right here. And then those cushions all lay side by side to make a bed. And this is actually where my aunt slept most of the time. And there's more storage underneath there. This is the electric panel for the DC power. And here is the galley kitchen. Now, there were a note when I was doing my research before the motorhome actually came to me. In my research, there was a couple of different models for the Winnebago campsite for this year, and this was the lower end model. And I'm actually finding there's features of the lower end model that I prefer over the higher end. For one thing, this is a big window rather than like a medium-sized window there and a little window over the sink. I like it being one big window across the side. I also prefer that it's a single sink rather than a double sink because I would prefer more counter space. I mean, how many dishes are you going to use at one time? Right? So I prefer having the single sink, which I'll show you is underneath here. I didn't clean it super well, but there you go. Single sink. For those of you who aren't familiar, this is designed to fit right on top of there. So you can actually use this as a counter when you're not using the sink, obviously. It has a 2-burner stove, again, taking up less space than a 3-burner stove. I don't know how often I actually use more than 2 burners. So, you know, again, this works really well for me. Storage above and storage beneath. There is not an oven, which is fine. My aunt had a toaster oven that she used. In our family, my grandma, she had this recipe for coffee cake, and it became a tradition that every holiday, you know, Thanksgiving and Christmas, she would make coffee cake. Well, my aunt learned to make coffee cake in that little toaster oven, so she had it as well. She never went without the coffee cake. But down below here is more storage, actually a lot of storage. The water pump is down in here. And then we move to the fridge. This is the original fridge. One disadvantage for this is that it no longer works on propane. It will work on electric. And so my aunt, she stayed a lot in campgrounds. And so most of the time she was plugged in. And so it still worked just totally fine for her. It's a nice size fridge in there. And then there's a little bit of storage here. There's a false panel back because the water heater is behind here. But you do have a little storage there. And then down below is going to be the freshwater tank. So obviously nothing to access there. This here is the bathroom. Now I told you this is a lower end model, and that means that there's actually no shower. There's a toilet and a sink, but there's no shower. So I am looking into how to change this to a wet bath. And the only complicated thing to figure out with that is the drain for the shower. Now the gray water, obviously the gray water for the sink would come out of there, so we'll just kind of follow that and figure out where we can get that to tie into it. And the black tank is directly below the toilet. So it's a nice size. I mean, if nothing else, there's a rod there. I just have more closet space, and I have, you know, some other options for a shower if that doesn't pan out or doesn't pan out soon. Okay, I gotta fix that too. All right, so here is that overhead bunk. So there is some damage down over on this side. The bottom piece of frame is rotted out. You can tell on the outside the way that the outside is, there's nothing to hold onto along the bottom here. So my dad is going to fix that. My cousin did give up a mattress to put up here, but look at that great space. You know, look at that view. Imagine waking up and seeing that. I mean, I would really enjoy doing that, waking up to that. So my aunt used this as storage. And like I said, she slept in the back on the couch. She used this as storage. So you could actually get a lot of stuff in here in this little 20-foot motorhome. Okay, so over on this side is the dinette. Now, if you notice, for the motorhome being 33 years old, this is in great condition. Even the upholstery is in really good condition. There's only one cushion that is not in good condition. So I do have plans to change them all out and upgrade them anyway, just because of the age. But you know, it just tells me there's good bones here still. Okay, so this dinette, this leg folds down, and then the table goes down in the middle. The cushions get rearranged to make another bed. So there's actually 3 places to sleep in here. And then above here we have more storage. And below the benches, there's even more storage. So inside one of these benches, not sure which side will work out, is going to be my battery bank when it gets to that. When I get to that point, because right underneath this table is where that house battery sits outside over here. So we'll just run the wires to one of these benches, whichever one works out best. On this side, it has the wheel well, so there's a little bit less space, but somewhere in there will that battery bank be housed. So over on this side, you can see the front door, the furnace, which my aunt says doesn't work. My dad's gonna look at it at least, but I'm okay with just getting rid of it and getting a different heating system, like a little buddy or something like that, because this actually takes up a lot of space. All in here. Okay, so this is tools, but you know, it goes all the way to the outside and there's a vent out there for it. But it takes up almost this top storage area. So there's more storage down here, but there's also that wheel well. So there's a little bit of storage on this side. This is a generator that my cousins gave my aunt, even though I don't think she's ever used it. But, you know, just as a safety precaution, they did gift that to her, and which is great. Microwave that she used, and she had this stuff over here, that wooden crate, and then the toaster oven she rearranged over here in a way that she just had, you know, her whole kitchen area set up. Thank you for joining me today for Vlogmas 2020. I'll see you tomorrow.